So, NBA free agency starting, and then of course the Zion and everything. Quick takes. Um, if Messiah leaves to Toronto Raptors for an office job, then I think that's in a Kawhi there. But I didn't have Toronto repeat next year anyway because I just think this is pretty much a one and done. But they had a great year. I think they had everything culminate real nicely. But I do think Philadelphia, Milwaukee are going to be improved. It's going to be interesting. As for Golden State, I think it's going to be tough next year, but I think I still see another ring or two before Steph is done. I think 4 or 5 is not out the question for him and Clay, and I think that if they can keep Clay, we'll see what happens with KD. Just get his health back. Most importantly, um, I think you get the focus back. And in this era and time, reason why you can't ever say a dynasty is over because it's a jump shooters era. There's not a lot of teams that can play like Toronto did or LeBron James did against Golden State because it's hard to catch what you can't hit. So it's going to be a lot of, and there's not a lot of teams or a lot of players that have that kind of heart that Steph's got as far as coming up big. I mean, in the regular season and what they end up doing. So a lot of tangibles. It's a lot to say, a lot to digest there. Um, Toronto was the better team, but let's be realistic. If Kevin Durant is healthy, it's a different series. If Klay Thompson is healthy, they go at least 6. They go at least 7. So you just don't know. But I will say this about Toronto: they played better team ball. And they had different guys step up, and they were consistent. And they did a blueprint of you don't have to have necessarily a super team because if you take Klay Thompson away, you had what I call second tier on down as far as the talent level. Because Kyle Lowry would be considered second tier. He was a former All Star, but you didn't see Sakam and Fred and and Marcus Gasol is not the same Marcus Gasol he was in his peak and his prime with Memphis. But you had guys that complimented and did the job. Serge Ibaka, who is a good player, but I say second tier, you know. But when you play with a guy like a Kawhi and everybody plays their position, knows where to play their position and complement one another, that's a team. So that's where tiering has its place. But if you got the right approach to the game. What they did well against Steph is that they doubled him up, iced him up, bodied him up, and they happened. They go. Toronto was effective on both sides, hitting perimeter shots and also playing defense. Defense. So it's going to be interesting in the all season where um, some guys go. I know Anthony Davis right now because of the Durant injury is going to be a top prize banana, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. If he's shipping back east, you got to think we can win it. If you come out west, the thing is, the NBA is pretty wide open because I'm going to say, even just looking at it this year, obviously when LeBron went to the west, that opened up other teams in the east. But if you look out west, Golden State, Houston, and you want to say OKC, but you can't. But Denver came out of nowhere. But after that, Portland was in the middle. But after that, when you go 5 and below, it was um, it's wide open. It's wide open. It's one of those situations where it's wide open in both conferences. But and it's kind of funny because the narrative of Golden State and wherever LeBron James has been dominant fixture for the half this decade. That's pretty mind blowing. But it also puts. I said this to a good friend of mine. I said this makes Shaquille O'Neal look even more incredible because he's the last to three-peat and win 3 straight finals and repeat. And it puts in perspective how hard it is. Because if you think about it, LeBron had 8 cracks, didn't get the 3 straight. Steph Curry had 5. So you're talking about 13 opportunities between those two guys. It's a very tough feat, and then you get kind of worn down. So you look at it, and it's like, wow. And when Shaq did it, when he three-peated, that was like within 4 years after, 4 or 5 years after Michael Jordan did it. Now you're looking at it from it's been 2002, so we're talking almost 20 years. That's pretty mind blowing when you think about how hard it has been to do that. But it takes a certain type of player and a certain type of the skills, and gotta have fortune of health and luck. You gotta have a lot of factors all rolled in to doing it. So no, the NBA is gonna be interesting but I do get tired of the drama. Everybody after LeBron did, everybody's like, oh, drawing all. If you're gonna sign with a team, sign with a team. Because it still comes down to chemistry. One thing that I like, that's what I like about Kawhi Leonard a lot. He's one of those guys, he stays humble, he gets the job done, lets his game do the talking. And he showed, and it's no offense, because I listen, the NBA is different. We cannot compare. That's why it's hard for me to ever say who's the best player, this or that, because it's different era, different style. I think the league is softer now, but it's allowed to be that way because it's got more to do with the powers that be when they made the game more international and they allowed more lines and more stretch. That's just what they wanted. They got what they wanted. So that's what they put into play. I haven't said that though, and so you can't really compare eras because you be talking a different language. But I will say that what the Golden State accomplished is great, and you see, but what Kawhi did, what I was making my point about Kawhi is he took it back because I call him 1982 because he put you in a frame of mind of somebody who could have teamed up with Moses Malone and just bodied you, and been that workhorse. He'd have just wore you out. And in fact, when I think the Sixers did win that title, he wore number 2 when he was with the Philly, because he was that workhorse and he bodied you, you know. But um, you don't see that a lot because the NBA is about flash, glitz, and putting squads together. And it's like instantaneous. It's like we gotta fast food to win now. So, but it'll be interesting in the all season what happens, and very importantly, it's like to see guys playing at full strength. I think the NBA more than any other sport, because you got to think about it. You got injuries in other sports, but in baseball, you can overcome it with somebody having an outer body getting hot in the postseason. Football, you can miss a receiver, and it can be a factor, but it's mainly the quarterback. That's what it comes down to, really. And the line. It's all about, certain things. Some teams are going to win, but NBA, it's really noticeable how missing a certain key, that's huge. So, but it'll be interesting all season. We'll see. It gets ready to get started next week and it goes on from there. So that's my final wrap up about what I saw at the NBA and and everything that goes on with that. But feel free to leave your comments, hit the subscribe, and the bell rings as a new video. I'm out. Peace.